Today's scripture reading will be from Mark chapter 15, verses 33 through 35. It can be found on page 51 of your Pew Bible. When it was noon, darkness came over the whole land until 3 in the afternoon. At 3 o'clock, Jesus cried out with a loud voice, "Eloi, Eloi, lema sabachthani," which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When some of the bystanders heard it, they said, "Listen, he is calling for Elijah."
Good morning. My name is Hunter Huffman, and I'm a senior at Grimsley High School and a soon-to-be Wake Forest Demon Deacon. I was born here in Greensboro, and for as long as I can remember, I've been a member of Star Mountain. My parents, Margaret and Neil, are both avid members of the church and are responsible for my strong Christian faith. Besides passing on this belief to me, they are two of my biggest fans, and although it is not always obvious, they are with me through whatever obstacles I face. My mother is without a doubt one of the strongest persons I've ever met. She is loving, kind, supportive, reliable, and I love her more than I can explain. My father has been one of the main inspirations in my life, from his athleticism and work ethic to his faith. He has taught me so much and been a key factor in the man I am becoming today. I also have a brother, Andrew, who is a rising junior at Grimsley and a talented musician, and a sister, KK, who is a rising freshman and the social butterfly of the family. Besides my immediate family, Star Mountain has provided me with Brad and Karen Smith, who have been like second parents, and of course, Kurt Kernefeld, who I consider the infamous Goofy uncle. On top of these mentors, I've also gained a few friends who are like brothers and sisters. From my first friend, Mark Gather, who I'm wishing well at his graduation today, to Caroline Smith, who has helped me with more than she knows, and I am thankful I do not have to say goodbye to her next year. Although I've been a part of Star Mountain for the last decade, from youth group to volunteering, Star Mountain has become a large part of who I am. The past 2 years have not been easy on me and my family, as we have endured trial after trial. In September 2009, my grandfather passed away because of complications due to a surgery. This was a life-altering experience, being that it was my first close relative to pass away. Although it was one of the hardest experiences of my life, with support from my family, I was able to get through it. However, in May of 2010, I received a call from my mother that she was on her way to Richmond to be with my aunt, who was having brain surgery due to a cancerous tumor that had been found. Her surgery was successful at removing the cancer, yet left her in a state where she would no longer be able to live alone, and plans were made for her to move in with us. Although we were optimistic in my aunt's recovery, it became clear that she would never return to her fully functioning state, and so she became the focus of our family. Although I am ashamed to admit it, these changes frightened and caused me to distance myself from my family. I spent multiple weeks away from the house at lacrosse tournaments and camps. Selfishly, I became jealous when my parents were unable to attend such events due to their obligations at home. When I was in town, I would spend as much time from the house as possible because I was uncomfortable with what was going on. And I knew I should be helping more, but I couldn't, and I soon began to resent the situation our family was facing. It wasn't long before I started to question my faith and became angry with why this was happening to our family, because I didn't think we deserved it. I slowly stopped going to church services and praying, and in return, my faith started to shrink. A little over a month later, Sunday, June 13th, I departed with the youth group for the Montreat Youth Conference, where the theme of the week was "In These Waters." I left in a large fight with my mom over something stupid, dealing with the fact that she was too busy to do something I had asked her to do, and so my intentions were merely to get away for a week. Unfortunately, I was required to be in Baltimore Thursday afternoon for a lacrosse tournament, and I did not get to finish the week. However, little did I know that the 4 days I spent there would have a huge impact on my life. The theme, "In These Waters," dealt with how all the aspects of water could be used in God's work and His Word. The week was also structured to start off somewhat rocky, with water being portrayed in a negative sense, or what happened when things get stormy, and move into a more positive sense, such as baptism, cleansings, and such. Even though I missed the positive aspects at the end of the week, I believe God had it planned for me to be there the days that I was. On either Monday or Tuesday, the day's theme was storms, and my small group brought up the scripture, Matthew 8, verses 23 through 26, which reads, "Then he got into the boat, and his disciples followed him. Suddenly a furious storm came up on the lake, so that the waves swept over the boat. But Jesus was sleeping. The disciples went and woke him, saying, 'Lord, save us. We're going to drown.' He replied, 'You of little faith, why are you so afraid?' Then he got up and rebuked the winds and the waves, and it was completely calm." Looking back at the scripture from Mark, the ending reads, "At 3 p.m, Jesus cried out in a large voice, 'Eloi, Eloi, lema sabachthani,' which means, my God, why have you forsaken me?" When I left for Montreat, this is exactly how I felt. I was calling out to God and getting no return. After so much calling and the continued absence of help, I started to give up on the strong relationship that I had had for so many years. I felt like God had given up on my family and I, and left us to constantly struggle through these events. Just because I started to give up on God did not mean he had given up on me. Yet I had reduced my faith and become fearful of what God's intentions were with the problems occurring in my life. The storm discussion at Montreat made me realize that I was wrong. Wrong to doubt God, wrong to question God, and most of all, wrong to turn away from him. Just because things were rough at the moment did not mean that I had been abandoned. God was and always will be with me, no matter what. There was no need for me to demand help. I merely needed to keep my faith strong, which is something I hadn't been doing at the time. I learned a lot from that hour small group at Montreat, and when my aunt passed away in October, even though it was difficult, I was able to look at it with a deeper understanding. I came to realize she would be whole again in heaven, and would be in a much better place than she was here with us. Since that time, my faith has grown stronger than ever